James Horan, we're a few days on from the All-Ireland semi-final win against Dublin after extra time. We were talking on Saturday night. It's Thursday now at the All-Ireland final press day. Did everything go to plan, I'd like to know, in that game? Was that first half a plan to perhaps contain a bit of energy?
Look, we set out to try and do a few things in the first half. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. I don't think we were maybe as bad in the first half as people thought, and I don't know if we were as good at some of the things in the second half as they were made out to be. No, it was way more exciting, obviously, and the emotions got going in the second half. But to me, it should have been 10-8 at half time, even the way we played and how poorly we were. But the main things were that I suppose our energy and our support play. We were attacking in ones and trying to defend in ones, and Dublin were just picking us off too easily. So we couldn't let that continue. So had chatted on a few things at half time around that, and just overall lifted the general energy levels, and look at it, took off from there.
It was evident that you were quite calm in the first half water break. In the dressing room at half time, are you calm, or how are you getting that message across? Because there isn't long left in that game, and you've known from third quarters against Dublin in the last 2 years, we'll say, that it could be game over in 10 minutes.
Yeah, and look, hopefully I'm calm. You can't remember most of it, but no, we set out to do certain things, and we check in on that at half time. Are we doing what we said we'd do? And if we're not, we try and change it, and where we are, we leave it. So there isn't too much rocket science. I suppose the first thing at half time is make sure that everyone's okay, and that everyone gets hydrated and takes their breather as much as possible, and then we go through a few things, and look, it's never anything huge, but thankfully we got a lot more energy into the second half, and it as I said, it took from there.
Is that a difficult balance as a manager, the balance between containing and going all out, pressing and chasing the game? Is it a difficult balance to try and manage it, because when you come up against Dublin you're going to have to be on your game?
Yeah, I think it is. I think that's fair. It's there's a natural way of a lot of teams have of playing, and then when you try and add something maybe additional to that, or something different to that, it can be. It's like the old change curve. There's a big dip before it comes up and becomes balanced, or becomes part of your game. So sometimes you can overshoot the runway when there is change, or you're trying to do something it might only be a small bit different, but it can lead to a big impact.
When we were reviewing the game in the football pod with Paddy Anders and Andy Moran, Paddy felt like one score from Dublin in that third quarter could have been enough to push them on. They picked out a lot of turnovers that Mayo got off them in the second half, and a couple of poor decisions from Dublin in front of goal. Did it feel like it was that final line at a stage in the second half?
Oh yeah. I think there was a lot of turnovers there that even the game in real time you'd be surprised at. I suppose you haven't seen Dublin do that in so long, if that team ever have it done. But look, you'd like to think some of those were a combination of our energy and our work rate, and Dublin maybe having to chase or speed things up faster than they've had to do in the last number of seasons or games. So there was a bit to that, but certainly any score that they would have got, there's the score, obviously, there's the time it takes for that score and the reset and all that kind of stuff. So any score gives a team an opportunity to reset, but the longer that game went on, we were getting stronger and stronger. And when James Carr came on, he had two shots that he normally scored with his eyes closed. So look, there's lots of different things. But Dublin, they missed some very easy ones as well. But again, as I said in the first half, I think it should have been a different game, even though we were poor. When you look at some of the shots that we missed, that we normally get. So look, you can argue both sides, but certainly the amount of Dublin turnovers was unusual, but some of those would have been forced by us.
James, we've seen 80 All-Ireland medals. It was a stat thrown out that is the part of the Dublin dressing room in the last 18 months, but Mayo themselves have lost a serious amount of players. How have you managed that transition? Because you seem to have done it very well.
Look, last year we brought in a huge amount, based on the age profile of the team, we brought in a huge amount of young players last year throughout the campaign. Had a very big panel, which can be challenging to manage in itself, but we brought that in, and with the experience of Christy, Keith, Shamey, Tom Parsons, Davy Clark, and Andy, obviously had huge amount of experience and knowledge there that the older guys, because of the type of characters they are, shared and really mentored the younger guys coming through. So they got a huge kick off that. We saw that even towards the end of last year, and this year they've brought it on themselves now as a result. So that's been a huge amount. I think, look at we enjoy playing football. We love what we do, and we try and keep it as light as we can. And I think that's important too. So it's enjoyable coming to the sessions on a Tuesday and Friday, and I think that's really important, particularly with the pandemic and where everything is with restrictions and everything. So we've tried to keep that balance right, and I think it's pretty good at the moment. So the players are really enjoying what they're doing, and get a happy player, you usually get big performances.
The Aidan O'Shea substitution after 48 minutes was something that caught the eye in the middle of the game. It was reported that he was in a boot in the build-up to the final. Would that have had an impact on your decision at all?
No. Look at it. You always go through things before a game and possible substitutions, and depending on certain scenarios happen. But every game is so different. And look, we were chasing the game, and we probably needed a couple more shooters in there. And brought on James Carr and Darren Cohen, etc., who can be very hot when they're. So it was just a logical step at that stage in the game.
Aidan isn't on the injury list over the next couple of weeks.
No, look at it. They throw on those boots, those big boots, very, very frequently. I'm always at the medical team. We've a pile of them around the place all the times, but they obviously work for certain things. But look, no, we trained last night, and everyone was in good form. A few knocks and bangs for sure, but overall in good form.
Last nod to the medical team. They obviously had a job getting Owen McLaughlin right on the pitch afterwards. One thing worth mentioning though is the strength and conditioning team that I'm sure you brought with you. It was very noticeable that in extra time Lee Keegan still had the gas and Tommy Conroy still had the gas, whereas for once in the past decade you had that over Dublin in the last few minutes.
Yeah, look, there's a huge honesty in the team, and during the lockdown, the guys worked very, very hard, as did Tyrone and Kerry, and many other teams, I'm sure. But you can see the difference in Tyrone and Kerry in particular as well. So guys work very hard. But Conor Conor Finn is brilliant in the way he operates and works with the players. They work very much as a team, and it's optimised for every player because everyone is different size and weight and shape and baseline. So he works very well with them, and look, he's a hugely important member of the development. Expectations
is always a big thing in every county going into an All-Ireland final, but in Mayo there's so much colour and excitement, and your fans love going on the journey to Croke Park. How are you going to manage that over the next 3 weeks, especially with such a young squad?
Yeah, I was on a lecture yesterday about a guy that trains I think the Gurkhas in the jungle, and I took a line from it that struck a chord with me, that some of the key things with Gurkhas is spirit and fundamentals and basics or whatever, but the last one was because they operate in the jungle, is not to fight the jungle, to go with it to a certain extent. So I think we might adopt that philosophy a little bit, is that look, there's huge goodwill out there with the Mayo public, and we appreciate it. We have our sessions and our get-togethers and our Zoom calls where it's a great point of reference for us as a team. So I don't think there'll be any problem focusing on the players.
Last word on Kerry and Tyrone. Is it a good thing that the final is 3 weeks away? Like, you have to wait another week to find out who you're going to have. Like, does that impact your preparation in any way, or can you focus on yourselves?
No, we do our thing. We've a lead in from 2 weeks out from a game that we go through. It's fairly standard. So the extra couple of weeks will be great. We'll be able to use that as well. So we just adapt. There's no issue with it.